I'm excited.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to look at your book outline before I got on video, and you've had. I understand now why you were telling me about the beach and about The Alchemist, because I was like, you have lived. I mean, I knew this already because I've read some of your stuff, but like, you've lived such an exciting life. Like,
Well, I mean, sometimes it's exciting, man. Sometimes it's painful.
well, I mean, but the pain, the journey, like you being Santiago the shepherd boy, right? Going through
Right.
this journey towards your personal legend, all that
Right.
stuff that happened to you, those were all omens, whether they were good or bad, especially the
Absolutely.
prison stuff. Oh
Right.
my God,
Well,
we have to get into this. I mean,
sure.
I'm kind of like jumping ahead of the horse here because I have a lot of
Well,
questions for you, but
no. Yeah, not at all. And two of my travel buddies just reached out to me this week. One of them
mhm,
from Hong Kong, and I
mhm.
randomly. So you talk about omens, and I was like, I'm getting interviewed this week. So he reached out to me. So I was like, that's an omen right there.
Yeah. Do you have Pyramid Thermum? I'm trying to remember the name of the stones. In the book.
Ah,
Yeah,
Umin and Thermian. Umin
yeah,
and Thermian.
Umin
Yeah.
and Thermin. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, those are just those are like symbols for making decisions.
Yeah.
But yeah, we always have to make those kind of decisions when we're traveling. Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me start with one of my questions here because I'm just so excited to get this started. Basically, what I wanted to ask you is like, you and I have been familiar with each other for a while now because you've been writing for some of my publications on Medium for a couple of years now.
Yes, the
And
the best travel editor on the internet is Sturg right here. Digital
oh, thank
Global
you.
Traveler, the best travel editor. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. What is so when you send me things and like when you come up with ideas and bring me these stories to my publication, what is your mindset? Like what do you want people to know? What exactly are you bringing? What kind of energy are you bringing when you want to bring these stories to Medium especially?
Well, that's a really good question. I think the main thing that I want people to understand is that there's a reality of travel, and it's not anything associated with what you see in the movies. It's not definitely not what you see in social media. It's hard work. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard work. And I got the one of that kind of reality call when I first started traveling. So I think that that's the main thing that I want people to take away when I submit to your publications. I want people to get a glimpse of my world, as a Black traveler that's entering out in the world and learning more about himself and working on himself in the same process. And we talk about personal legends, but using travel to in harmony with your goals in life. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm a big advocate of that. So that's my ultimate goal, to help people to understand some of to avoid some of the mistakes that I've made, and then also to learn from other people as well.
That's awesome. Um, I wanted to ask you something else because I know that you've been working on your great epic travel memoir now for a while, Homeboy and the Pyramids, and that name itself, and that's your Substack title too. That's like the name of your
Right.
Substack page.
Right.
What inspired you? And I kind of have an idea, but I don't want to assume. What inspired you to come up with that title, and what audience are you specifically reaching out to try to get that message out to?
All right. Well, that's a great question. So first, I think I was inspired when I when I had some trouble in Hong Kong, and it was over. We talk about omens. Before I was ever arrested for some nonsense argument and fight, I had envisioned myself in prison. There was a rapper named Kevin Gates
I know Kevin
who,
Yates, Two
yeah,
Phones.
and he
Yeah.
got arrested for something, and there was a a Black Panther that I had been trying to write to for years, but I never had the courage to write to him, Mumia Abu Jamal. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember I never could write a letter to him. So for some reason, I saw myself in prison with Kevin Gates. Months later, I would have this stupid. I was doing volunteer work and wound up getting in an argument with someone that led into a fight. But the thing was, when I was in prison, my friend, she would come bring me books and she would say, listen, your story is this is crazy story. She says, you got to write a book about everything that's happened. And the other thing is, so that was the inspiration. And definitely the weird turn of events and a lot of the omens that were happening before Hong Kong when I had some
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, you know, some kind of legal trouble, but I was having omens. I was experiencing a lot of omens and things like that throughout my travels in Asia. So
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of like even now these things happen. So I was just it was I knew I was being like led to a particular I was being led. I felt like I was on a path. So when I got back from Asia, I hit the 5 year mark with my total amount of travel.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my biggest inspirations for travel years ago was the movie The Beach. I love that movie. It's very dear to me for several reasons, and I hope we can discuss it. But
We will.
when I got back, I finally read Alex Garland's book, but what I realized was he wrote it when he was in his early 20s,
Mm-hmm.
and a book like that had never it wasn't around. So when people got that book, it was like a special invitation to another world. It was word of mouth, and there weren't a lot of people talking about Southeast Asia at the time, unless they were military vets, and so
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of backpackers. So
Mm-hmm.
and but what I realized it was the appropriate timing. The other inspirations were when I first started traveling. When I first went to Brazil, someone gave me a Paul Coelho book. It was called
Mm-hmm.
Warrior of Light. And so I'm reading the book in class before I was taking classes to become an English teacher. And then the following day, one of my classmates gave me The Alchemist. And it was
Oh.
like, right, she gave it to me. And this was like a week or two before I was headed to Brazil. So this book also definitely played a huge part in terms of a lot of the symbolism in the book. The Alchemist is one of the greatest modern spiritual books, and definitely a great travel book.
Mm-hmm.
But it talks about a lot of the obtaining personal legends and also finding your so-called treasure in life and things like that. So these were some of the themes that the beach, the alchemist, and there were other inspirations, but those were some of the early inspirations that definitely influenced me to write a travel memoir. The other thing was, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned this, when I was a teenager having a lot of problems in life, and all teenagers have like ups and downs and stuff, no
Mm-hmm.
one was really ever talking to me. And then even in my 20s, when I was looking around for information for a book that was just for me,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find anything. And I was going through the library and, I was like lost and I was trying to find myself spiritually and stuff. When I was a teenager, I found a book by Magic Johnson. A lot of people don't know about it. It's called Magic's Touch.
Oh, I
I
didn't
had
know he
such
wrote a
low,
book.
yes, and I had such low self esteem and like up until like ninth grade. But I started playing basketball. But the book was maybe 25% or 50% about basketball, but 50% about life. And it was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like an older brother talking to me.
Oh.
And that edified me, man. My self esteem changed. I became, good, a local, a decent basketball player locally, but just helped me with my self esteem as a young man. The audience, I want to, first of all, this is a travel book, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
travel memoir, and I think that anyone who is interested in traveling and the journey that we all have in life will appreciate the book.
Yeah, like well, that itself, that parallel relates to my life because I was, I'm in an RV right now, and I go from place to place a lot of times. And
Wait, yeah, you're traveling. Yeah, exactly.
my my personal legend at this point is just, well, I don't know if I found it yet, but I mean, I'm still searching for it, I think. Um,
Well,
yeah,
that's fine. Whenever people are not sure about their personal legend, you are on your path because you're writing. You're an
that
editor,
is
you're
part of
writing.
it. Yeah,
Absolutely is part of it. And so, it's definitely working toward goals. And then through working toward goals, you'll find your purpose in personal legend.
yeah. I I know I'm meant to do something bigger though, for sure. Just like you realized that when you went on your journey.
Yeah.
You're still on your journey in life. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all are. Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
No, for sure. So we were talking about the beach earlier. I mean, let's get into that a little bit more, because what with that story really resonates with you, because I was interested when you recommended that to me. What was actually interesting in that story to you that made you like you know what I'm saying, like that inspired you to
No.
write the book? Hmm.
Well, first of all, it's ironic. You're a Filipino, I believe. You're Filipino
Yeah, I'm
heritage.
Southeast Asian. Hmm.
And when I about 26 years ago, I was working in IT and I worked with a group of Asian guys.
Hmm.
And eventually we became friends.
Nice.
And they were all younger. They were all the same age group, and so we were in our early 20s. And when we got to know each other, they invited me to Thailand.
Oh.
They were the first ones to invite me to Thailand, but I was too afraid of leaving my career and too afraid of this was just for a vacation, but I was just too afraid of breaking away. I wound up leaving the company months later, and while I was in between contracts, I watched this movie, The Beach.
Oh, that was.
And right, and so it was, based in Thailand. I had just got an invitation. And the thing was that I think that the biggest takeaways from that movie, because I never liked Leonardo DiCaprio before that,
Hmm.
but because I heard that movie didn't do well with reviews either, but I liked it because he was like a regular guy. He was, just a regular average guy. He wasn't perfect, and
Yeah,
I could
Richard,
relate.
right? Yeah.
Richard, he just came across. I'm not a Caucasian guy, but he's
Yeah.
just an average guy. Has ups and downs with ladies or whatever, and he still cheats on his lady,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he's normal. He's not perfect. He's a
Hmm.
flawed character. So I think that was something else that he's flawed, and as
Hmm.
a flawed person, I kind of resonated with it. But the ultimate thing about that movie that helped me, and it kind of tied back into my buddies from the telecommunications company, was that travel secrets kind of have to be preserved.
Hmm.
And for people who are listening, the beach is
Oh.
about, right, the
Yeah. Yeah.
travel. And I had to earn their trust for them to invite me to Thailand. It wasn't just like, it's not like I just went and clicked on a video and somebody said, come to Thailand. It was like, hey man, we like you. You're a cool guy. Why don't you? And I think that they saw that it would, because one of the guys, the Filipino buddy, over the years, he was constantly helping me evolve as a person anyway. But he, I think he saw that I was a little too high strung and I needed to make some changes in my life.
Hmm.
And so he recommended Thailand. But that movie emphasized, their travel secrets, and you have to protect them and you don't tell everyone about it.
Yeah, like in the movie, because when he finally tells somebody, tries to get somebody else to come to that place, it starts falling apart.
That's always what happens. Even now, like a lot of these guys that are on YouTube, they go to a place and they may, market a little too heavy, and what winds up happening is too many people wind up coming.
And the natural beauty gets ruined,
It
or it destroys or something. There's
well,
always a consequence.
well, exactly. You talk about the physical beach that was in that movie,
Hmm.
that it got so overrun with tourism that Thailand had to shut that physical location down.
Yeah.
so it could recover. Too many people were going there.
I, I so watching that movie, I always wondered what happened to those weed farmers after, like,
Well, I heard that they're trying to remake the movie or something, or they're trying to do a spin-off series based on like the years afterward or something. I don't know,
Mhm.
but I think it would work. That's a valid question. Like, that's a valid question because it's like what happened to the weed farmers, or like the what did they do with the bodies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That that's just a lot of symbolism in that movie. It
no, I
like the
realize that. Yeah,
like for danger of, and I'm pretty sure in real life, like they would easily just dispose of the bodies and move on. But those there's a lot of symbolism in that movie as well. And
as there was in The Alchemist. So like
yes,
now that was the next question I'm coming into, because this is one of the most impactful books I've read in the last like 10 years.
awesome,
I
awesome, man.
I was so happy that you recommended this book to me, because I didn't put it down. Like, I read it through and through. Like, I just kept it in my hand and I didn't put it down till I finished, and it was just wow.
You really did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mike's
that's awesome.
Mike's in the background saying he really
I'll tell
did.
him I said what's up. Tell him I said what's
Uh,
up.
Clarke says, "What's up, Mike?" All right. Anyway, so let's see. So the question I had about specifically about the Alchemist is, you were asking me the other day, you're like, which character do you think I am from The Alchemist? And I'm like,
Mhm.
bro, I think I already know. I mean, we all kind of relate to him in so many ways, but I want you to explain how your journey as Santiago, the shepherd boy, came
Mhm.
about, to where, like, what was your moment where you met the king, and then your moment when, like, you started your journey.
Oh man, that's such a good question. I think I have to say, you know, being Santiago, and this is for all of us in life, I think one of the first persons, the people in the book that kind of challenges him is his dad. And his father is like, you don't need to travel, just stay here. Our towns are the same. You don't need to go and explore the world. We have everything right here.
That was my mom.
And right, that's for all of us. There's like a part of our life that we can stay with, but sometimes when we want to go out and do different things, there are people in our family that are kind of maybe coming from a place of love in their minds,
Hmm.
but they're unintentionally trying to stop us.
Hmm.
And so this definitely was gradual over several years, because man, I used to be a Jehovah Witness, and I had a lot of dogma, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but that religion is not for me.
No.
But
Yeah.
it's just it was a lot. It took me a while because I was born into it,
Hmm.
and so it took me a long time. But travel helped me with that as well. So I think there were things that came to me that I wanted to do with my life, and I had to let go an older version of myself. So I had to take that journey, kind of like Santiago going out into the unknown. The old king, or like the different characters who are like symbolic in The Alchemist. One of the old king, especially, like he encounters Santiago and gives him two stones and is helping him make decisions. I think these are people who I had met in my young adulthood, who were kind of steering me to do different things.
Hmm.
In fact, there was a lady, actually there was a lady at my old church, and she was one of the first people. She said, listen, before you settle down in the United States, she says, you make sure you travel. She used to tell me that. I was like 16 years old, man. She said that to me several times.
Hmm.
And so a lot of that kind of those kind of characters in The Alchemist, those are definitely people that you meet on the path that are encourage you to think differently, and maybe look at the world a little bit differently, but also be mindful of things signs and omens and so forth, like the gypsy or the old king.
Mm-hmm. Even the thief.
The thief is important. These are people you encounter in your life who may do bad things to you, but they're constantly they're a reminder about the people in the world and some of the bad things. So there's a learning lesson from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think, and one of the things I liked about well, I'm gonna end it there. Yeah, that was such a good question, but I'll let you add on.
So you had showed me your book, right? So when I was thinking about uh The Alchemist, I was also thinking about a section in your book that is titled Chasing Six Figures and the Great Lesson, and that kind of brought me back to The Alchemist. Can you explain exactly what was happening in that part of the book, or is that something?
Well, sure. I think the part of the book that's really referenced, another part of the book is really referenced to The Alchemist, is the pyramids of Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's one I
Now
was going to get to as well.
that
You can reference both if you'd like.
okay, so the first part, I think chasing six figures, that was when I was in, the first part of my life when I was in, the IT field.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so focused on obtaining like certain kind of like certifications and stuff. I didn't want to travel. I felt guilty about not studying every night. I was that um devoted, if you want to say, to my career.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I had to let a lot of things go in order for me to become the next version of myself that could travel.
Mm-hmm.
But Hong Kong became important. When I got to Asia, the first few months, I got to when I went to China, I had to go to Hong Kong to make a visa run. And when
Mm-hmm.
I went there, I said, "Oh man, this place is amazing.
Yeah.
I want to live here. I want to live here. This place is amazing. This is the version of China that I want. I want to live here." And like I was overwhelmed because I've traveled a bit, and it's still to this day, Hong Kong is one of the best looking cities that I've ever been to.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm gonna manifest here. Everything's gonna work out here, and I'm gonna make this happen. And then over the next several years within Asia, I kept focusing on Hong Kong, and then when I finally got there, when I'm getting into trouble. So
Yeah. That's where you ended up getting arrested, right? Went into
yeah,
prison.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw
So
I saw one of the titles on it in that section about prison, and I recognized the first title, even though it was in Chinese. It was a number.
yeah,
Yeah, I was like,
that
that
was
was
my
your inmate
number in
number.
prison.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking that. I was like, oh, okay. I studied a little Mandarin. I don't know much, but I mean,
Well, and
is
ironically,
that Cantonese? That's
it's
Cantonese, isn't
the
it?
alphabet's the same.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just said differently. Yeah. So
Mm.
yeah.
That's what I thought. I was like trying to, because I'd studied a little Mandarin at the beginning, and I don't know much, so but I knew the
No, but
number.
yeah, the numbers. They were numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, but you mentioned Taiwan too, so I want to get into that because you haven't really mentioned it here yet. But how was that experience?
I mean, Taiwan was probably it helped me see a version of China that isn't communist, and it's actually it's a very unique place. They have a very unique history in terms of their development as a individual country,
Mm-hmm.
but Taiwan is a very modern, like I say, a very modern day. It feels more authentic because you see a lot more of the spirituality. There are temples all over,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a very. I I got along with a lot of the Taiwanese a lot better than I did with mainland China. I felt like it was a little bit more of like I said, China without the communism, but at the same time, just a little bit more spiritual. And they speak Mandarin. So it was
Mm-hmm.
a very good place for me to learn more about Chinese culture.
Nice, nice. Um, And looking through your outline, I saw some really like dangerous sounding things, like you'd encountered like gunfire and other things like that. Like when I
Oh,
saw
sure.
those titles, I was almost like, I want to know more about this. Like
Well,
how much can you tell us without giving away your
yeah,
book?
sure. Well, no, sure. I mean, there's a chapter in a book called Machine Gun Silhouettes,
Yeah.
and it's I'm I'm highlighting that also. You talk about the violence or the
Mm-hmm.
lingering violence. When you travel, you're vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps more vulnerable than you've ever been.
Yeah.
You don't know anyone, and if something happens to you, somebody could just take your body and dispose of you or sell your body parts or whatever. So in many instances, I've gotten jumped. I've been in dangerous places where there's like when I lived in Brazil, I lived in an active favela and the drug dealers would patrol the neighborhood with machine guns.
Oh.
Yeah, this really happened. And in the book I talk about certain times, before they got to know me when I first moved into the favela, it was very tense.
Mm-hmm.
And there were other nights, I've had in Cambodia where was chased with machetes. I got jumped before. I've got, um, violence is like I said, it's a very real thing when you're traveling,
Mm-hmm.
and and also, it often means death. So yeah, this is a real thing. Yeah, it's that thing is that's very, especially in developing countries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something you have to be concerned with.
Mm-hmm. Um, One thing I'm really excited about to talk about with you today, because it's Black History Month, is I mean, you're a prominent Black writer, and it's amazing to see a Black writer writing about travel. How do you feel like you can shape the future of other potential Black travelers? Like
Sure.
what kind of wisdom do you think you can impart onto them as well?
Oh man, that's a really great question. I think the one of the things I want to do is provide them with a book that looks at travel realistically. Because in my book, I don't just write about things. I have like points of wisdom. I call it game, and I
Mm-hmm.
mention things that I learned along the way about life or whatever. And so I wanted to share information with that audience because people are still learning how to travel. Because a lot of people are learning about travel through like YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that there's a lot of good there, but I think that there's some negative things there as well, because even the whole concept of being like a digital nomad, I don't recommend it until somebody has some travel experience. I don't think it's smart, a good idea to just go out into the void without any kind of travel experience. So I think what I want to do is write a book that is definitely aimed at. So first, the first audience is definitely Black men,
Mm-hmm.
because like I said, when nobody ever wrote a book for me when I was younger and I was growing up, but then also people who like travel memoirs, who like travel memoirs. I know they'll like it because there's a lot of information about travel and the language of the world.
Oh, the Alchemist reference, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Um, so as okay, so even you would even reach out to someone like me, like a half Asian male who'd want to travel. So what I'll ask you then, um, but this isn't a part of your own lived experience, because I'm a gay male traveler. Would there be extra precautions for somebody like me if I were to go out and travel? Do you think, like
Well,
especially to the places you've been?
sure. Well, here's the thing. When I first got to Beijing, my
Mm-hmm.
manager was gay,
Yeah.
and he had hired me at a school, and he was a Caucasian gentleman from the United States. I forget which state, but he told me he loved being gay and traveling because he immediately had a community wherever he goes. See, he immediately has a network. Like I got a buddy who's a graffiti writer, and whenever he travels, he plugs in with the graffiti writers. So I think that's the thing that I would suggest if anybody is like, and from that perspective, yeah, definitely plug in with other people in the gay community first, or just or whatever hobbies you have. Like let's say you and Mike are into like paintball, plug in with the paintball community wherever you travel.
Is that the same advice you'd give to like black travelers, for example? Like find your community abroad
find your community first. It's more about community and less about race, to be honest with you. Because I'm honest with you, when I have had problems when traveling, when I've been down and out, I've been helped by
everyone.
A Chinese construction worker, a thief. You'd be surprised. A redneck, a so-called redneck. He told me he was a redneck, but a redneck from Mississippi. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at who helps you when you're traveling and you need help.
Yeah, I saw some parts of the book that you had shared with me, where it's like I got your back and stuff like that. So it kind of seems like along the way there were people who either did actually have your back or they said they did, and then maybe, maybe did the opposite. But like that'll happen along the way, no matter what.
Oh, absolutely. And also in the book, we have to keep in mind there's a person, the crystal merchant, and Santiago works at this individual shop, and the guy was just kind of helping Santiago because he realized Santiago was in a bad spot. You will encounter people like that who will.
But then Santiago ended up helping him more. It was like he grew his business. He gave him ideas that made his business flourish and made it to where he could realize his personal legend finally to go to Mecca. But he actually decided to just stay there and continue running the shop. He's like, it was always his personal legend just to think about going to Mecca. It wasn't necessarily to go to Mecca. I mean, he was happy at his shop.
Well, that's the thing. Like you can find maybe he's just content. He's content with his life, and that's the thing in itself. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So another thing I want to bring about, because you've been, I was looking through all the places you've traveled to, which it's amazing. Like you've been to so many places. I'm not gonna say I'm jealous, but like, you know, it's I'm in awe of you. Like it's awesome that you've gotten to. But I mean, I understand, like, because of like what you said about like the beach and stuff, like you know, not to idolize or idealize like certain places and stuff like that, and you know, and to there's a lot of realism that you have to incorporate into travel as well. But I mean, just to get those experiences, I think that's really what I'm in awe of, is that you've even the bad experiences, like you got to experience all this stuff, and it really does change you and shape you as a person, and it gives you that life experience and that wisdom that allows you to help others, which is, I think, is really what I think I'm getting at here. At what point did you say in your life, even when you're at your lowest, did you say, maybe, I mean, this is all happening for a reason, and I think I'm going to change the world someday? When did you start thinking that? When did you start thinking that you could actually make an impact?
You know, that's a really good question. I think you have that clarity at the lowest moments. And you realize while you're on the journey, because the book, my travel is in line with my personal legend. There's a reason that I travel. It's referenced, you'll find it in the book, but also it's part of a larger mission. But I think that you get that clarity when you realize that things are happening for a reason. There's a motivational speaker I listen to named Les Brown, and he says, feel that you're being led. When
Mm-hmm.
you're on your journey and path. And I want to swing back to you. And for people who are interested in traveling, you got to remember you're traveling. You're in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
My first and most significant travel experiences started in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to travel, you have an RV and be able to travel and see different parts of the United States is an important experience. It's a different experience than mine, but it's still very important. So I would
Mm-hmm.
encourage people also, don't don't be concerned with somebody else, because your time will come.
Mm-hmm.
Your time is coming. When it's time for you to go out into the world, to other places, to other countries, it that will manifest. Don't but put it in your mind. Say, hey, there's some places that I would like to go, and put it in your mind, and it'll happen. So don't your time is coming whenever, and it'll happen at the right time.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to mention, since my mom is from the Philippines, that is one place that's always been on my wish list
Oh yeah,
to go to.
yeah,
And then obviously Europe, because that's where my dad's family is from. And I want to see all
sure,
the ancestral stuff there, like in England and
of course,
Germany, Norway,
yeah, man.
Denmark, uh, Netherlands, just wherever, like
I've
just travel all over.
I've never heard anything bad about anyone who travels, who does like a backpacking through Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard anyone have a negative experience. Even black travelers that I've had on my podcast,
Mm-hmm.
all of them have had great things to say. So I like, yeah, man, like that's also a very genuine uh, travel goal, to travel to a place of your ancestry. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something that will, inspire you. And I think at the same time, a lot of cool things will happen when you make that journey.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Have you ever had any plans yourself to go to places where, let's say, for example, that have like, let's say, have you ever had the urge to ever go to Africa and travel there and see some places there?
Absolutely. On my book cover, I reference when I went to Africa. I was in East Africa,
Oh, East
and
Africa. Okay.
right, I was in East Africa. I don't reference that in this book. That's going to be in the next book.
Okay.
But yeah, when I was in prison and I met, befriended the Africans,
Mm-hmm.
they were the ones who invited me to go to Africa.
Oh, nice.
And I had such a, so instead of my invitation, because I'm of African ancestry, of course,
Yeah.
it was a more genuine invitation.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, absolutely, it was I felt, I think that was the thing that made the whole situation about that, turning that negative into a positive, because I was able to make friends with Africans, and some of my best friends in Asia were Chinese people that I met in prison.
Nice. Do you still keep in contact with some of those people to this day,
Oh
or?
yeah, oh yeah,
Nice.
Chinese and Africans. Yep, absolutely.
How good did your Chinese get when you were there?
Well, the funny thing was, my whole argument, that it wound up happening because a lady made a slur at me in Cantonese,
Oh,
and I understood it.
you knew it.
You're right. So that
Yeah.
was what triggered the events. But the whole thing was, I met this people through. So you're asking me, how did how good was your your Chinese? It was functional Mandarin and functional Cantonese, but my Cantonese was actually better than my Mandarin. So basically, when I say functional, shopping, basic readings, basic questions, yeah.
Mhm. So she said something really bad.
Yeah, she called me an African dog, and that's what set it off. Yeah,
Oh, no, 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 no. That's not good.
yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah.
messed up.
And so, right, she said it in Cantonese,
Hmm.
and that's what triggered. And I'll just mention this briefly. When they brought the videotape into the courtroom, they edited out her saying it. They just showed me coming up to her and yell.
What?
Yeah, that's how nasty they were. But the brilliant thing about this, I am the first writer to ever go inside the Hong Kong prison system, and they found out I was a writer when I was in there. They wanted me out of there.
Oh, so that was your
Hey,
ticket out.
oh
You're like,
well, the warden brought me into his office. He's like, listen, we know who you are because my name is all over the internet,
yeah, yeah.
and I started interviewing prisoners. So I'm sitting on top of a story that I'm going to release within the book about the Hong Kong prison system and a massive human rights violation.
So they didn't want that. They didn't want that bad publicity. So they were
They
basically like,
don't, they
okay,
don't, right? Get this guy
we'll
out of here.
we'll let you
Right.
go. Just go.
No, no.
We'll
Well,
we'll do whatever you want.
they were just like, we know who you are, we're watching you, and that kind of thing. So they just didn't want that. The bottom line is, I already got the stories. So a lot of prisoners were coming to me and sharing some stories about some foreigners. They were sharing some things with me some things that were going on in the Hong Kong prison system.
um, I kind of want to ask you a fun question now, not related to any of this, except for
Yeah,
the Asian connection. So,
yeah.
do you still celebrate Chinese New Year annually? Whenever
If
you get a
you know,
chance.
if I'm hanging around Asian people, yeah, man, I'll definitely celebrate it. It gives you an excuse. If you have Chinese friends, it gives you an excuse to celebrate New Year's twice.
Now that I'm thinking about all the places you've been, where would you say is one place that kind of basically helped you shape your current identity? What is one place that you visited where would you say that would be and why?
Man, that's a really good question. I think it's I would be I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that Guatemala. I've been in Guatemala a year and a half now, and
Mm-hmm.
it's part of the next book. But Guatemala has been invaluable in terms of me taking a lot of, because you always get those challenges when you travel. But
Mm-hmm.
Guatemala is the kind of place where if you're in it, I wouldn't recommend this place for first time travelers. And it's the kind of place that you have to have travel experience to be successful in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this place is good because it's a very it's a very interesting country, but it's
Mm-hmm.
the kind of place that it tests your experience as a traveler. And so, but at the same time, it is a fascinating, and interesting culture within itself.
In history.
And history, absolutely. Very vast and impressive history, just as impressive as Mexico's.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to see a lot more stories because the people in this region in the Central America, they kind of, I don't want to say they revolve around Mexico as identity, as culture, but a lot of the music and movies and stuff comes from Mexico. But I think
Mm-hmm.
over the next decade, so you're going to see a lot more movies and culture coming out of Guatemala.
I'd love to see that because I know Spanish already, like a functional level of Spanish, and
Oh yeah,
like I studied it for years in school, and I know a lot of the words. Sometimes I have to ask people to speak slower, obviously, because like if they go
sure.
too
No,
fast, I
there's
wouldn't
nothing
be
wrong
able
with
to
that.
understand them. Yeah, but
But
like I can understand most of what I read and most of what I hear. So
oh, that's awesome. See, and
mm-hmm.
one of the cool things about that is, again, you started your journey with a language. So if you decide to go to a place like Mexico, you're
Mm-hmm.
immediately going to have a head start on other travelers,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll be impressed the fact that you've made the attempt to learn the language. So
Mm-hmm.
that you'd be surprised at how many foreigners live in a foreign country and don't speak any of the language.
Yeah. I think it's important that if you're going to go somewhere to at least learn some of the language, even if it's not all of it. I mean,
Right.
because we can't, we're human beings that, like, I'm not saying we're not capable of, but, there's only a certain amount of language knowledge that we can hold in our head. Like, so for you, you said you were functional in Mandarin and Chinese or Cantonese when you were there.
Mhm.
I'm sure you're functional in Spanish as well.
Oh yeah, I'm
Um,
functional. I'm not fluent, but I'm functional.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
and basic conversations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like all these other places you've been, I'm sure you pick up languages everywhere you go.
Well, see, that was something that you have to make time to study the language, just like you
Mhm.
make time to eat.
Yeah.
And people will be patient with you for a few months, but if you don't know anything, you've been there for years, it's very disrespectful.
It
So I
shows
think
a
that
lack of effort. Yeah.
a lack of effort. And like when I
Mm.
was in Hong Kong, I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody, but a lot of the expats that I would meet there, they just because you don't really need Cantonese to live in Hong Kong because
Because they
it was
speak
a British car,
English.
right?
Hmm.
So, but when you do speak Cantonese, you know the Chinese people there usually, and that was the thing that helped me make with friends with Chinese people when I got into prison. They were like, "Yo, this guy, he's a black guy from America. He speaks Cantonese,"
Yeah.
and so they were immediately impressed. So I think the language is also a very important part within traveling and just helps you to connect with people
Hmm.
as well.
Um, I know. I know you didn't want to single anybody out here, but I do remember reading a story that you had written for my publication a while ago called "A Loser Back Home,"
Yeah.
and it was about these white guys that go overseas and basically try to
Oh,
marry. So
passport bros.
yeah,
Passport
yes.
bros.
Well, it's
Well,
just whatever. But like I did focus on the white guys who were losers back at home, and almost
well,
paralleling that with the people that you might have not tried to like mention when you were talking about people who didn't want to learn the language necessarily. I'm not saying that all white people don't want to learn other
no,
people's
no,
languages, but
because
that is
it.
something I've encountered.
Well, absolutely. But in that article, I just want to highlight when you know that got started because of a Vietnamese guy about a decade ago named Troy Wing. He
Hmm.
made a viral video calling out white guys in Asia. He's saying you guys are out here because you can't get women at home.
Yeah,
But in that article, I pointed out that it was about half. And I also talked about a lot of the quote unquote white guys that I thought were really good travelers because again, when I have been on the road, I meet a lot of sharp travelers that are,
yeah, yeah.
white guys. And so I highlight them as well in that article as well.
Well,
So
obviously,
it's not a sweeping statement. No, there's a lot
no,
of they got their stuff together and and I've been helped out by too many people to make that kind of generalization.
you don't want to generalize, obviously, but
No, no, no.
I was just kind of that was my own thing. Um,
Yeah.
but as somebody like I think you know this about me, I've been studying parts of 7 languages over the last many number of years. And right now, I'm studying some French,
Mm.
and I know that'll get me into a lot of countries because French is a language that's spoken in a lot of places around the world, especially in Africa, because
Yeah, absolutely.
that's the lingua franca of a lot of the
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
countries in like West Africa, and
Mm. Yeah, no, it's
mm,
a yeah. Yeah, when I
yeah,
was even before I had went to Africa, when I was in during COVID, I had a neighbor
mhm,
and I told him I wanted to this was after I came back from Asia and we
mhm,
we we tried we talked because he was from Africa, but he had also lived in Hong Kong. So
mhm.
we had that connection. But he mentioned, he said, you look, if Clark, if you're going to Africa, one of the most important languages right now is French.
Mhm. So
So
you how
absolutely.
so you brushed up on your French?
No, no, no. Because I went to instead of going to Central Africa where he's from, I went
Oh,
to
you went
East
to
Africa.
East Africa?
I studied. Yeah, I studied Swahili. I had a
Yeah,
prepared with Swahili. I had a Swahili teacher for several months before I even went out there.
Kiswahili. Yeah, you have to cough. Yeah, that's fine. We can edit that out.
That's right. Yeah.
I I've resisted the urge to cough and stuff a couple of times too, so I get it. I want to get back to Black history because I feel like that's something that I love highlighting, especially right now, and especially getting a chance to talk to one of my favorite travel writers. Well, black writers in general, but like favorite Black travel writers. What is a myth that you want people who about? What are some myths that you want Black travelers to challenge or dismantle? is basically what I'm trying to ask. So like
Yeah, I think I
coming into
did
this
write.
through a Black history. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I did publish. I'm not sure if I published this article for your publication. 11 myths about Black
that
travel.
was
For
that was with me.
yeah,
I think so.
so in that article, I really talked about first of all the fantasy that you see on social media. Get rid of that, and overall, just helping them to understand that it's hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Traveling is hard work. Is sometimes very dangerous. We talked about like lingering danger, violence. The thief and the alchemist is
Mm-hmm.
dangerous. You're vulnerable, and it's not. There's nothing that's going to prepare you for it. And I think that that's the other thing that I wanted to share with my story was given a very realistic view of travel,
Mm-hmm.
and then helping people to tap in that because people are afraid on YouTube. No, studying a language is not going to get you views. What's going to get you views is if I show a girl with a big butt and and I say, yeah, I'm gonna tear her ass down to get 30,000 views. But the guy who is in Thailand right now studying, for a Muay Thai fight and getting, that might get a few views. But the guy who's studying French, who's working online and then studying French for 3 hours a day, nobody's going to be interested in watching that. The hard work shit. Tony Robbins is one of my favorite motivational speakers, and he says, people are rewarded in public for what they do in private, and the stuff that the hard work stuff that benefits you when you travel, it's not very glamorous. That's
Mm-hmm.
we think about it. How do you grow as if you lift weights, right?
Yeah.
But it's through hard work. How do you grow as a writer? It's not by just sitting around. It's by writing a bunch of shit and then finally writing something that is really good. It takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And so during that time period, a lot of, I think that's the other thing. I think that becoming a good traveler takes time, man. It takes time, and it's not going to happen with you, just going and traveling someplace for like a week or two. It takes time. It takes a long time, and you're going to have your ups and downs, but those ups and downs and that resistance is going to add on to your travel resume.
I had this order originally. I thought I was going to ask the questions in a certain
That's all
order
right.
that
No, that's
and
all
I
right.
wrote them down. No, but as the conversation has flowed, I kind of have had to change it up, and I'm looking back at my notes, and I'm like, I got to grab it. I got to grab this from here, grab this from here, and that's why I'm getting kind of jumping around a little bit. But I'm like, at the same time, it feels like it flows with how our conversation is going right now, which I really enjoy. So the question I want to ask you then is, how do you feel your voice has evolved throughout these years as a writer going through these different places? Like, let's say you started here. This is how your voice was back then you moved here. So like just kind of like a brief, like just give us like how you feel like your voice, just like your writing voice in general has evolved.
Well, absolutely. You've played a huge role in this. I've been able to put a lot more of myself into my writing, a lot of my slang, my hip hop culture
I
into
like
my
it.
writing.
I
And
love
it's just,
that.
yeah. And I'm fortunate when I have an editor that will do that. I've had editors like in martial arts magazines that will allow me to do it. And I usually drive them crazy, like I drive you crazy sometimes. But,
You drive me
but,
crazy in a good way though, because
okay.
I like your passion.
Yeah, but so I think that that's the most important thing, being yourself and then being able to, because with my writing, I think when I first started just in general with writing, I was very afraid to share my ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a while to realize that my ideas were valid and good because other people would come and steal them and try to take them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's more confidence, much more confidence now in myself and my voice. And, just being able to see that I know when I have something that's important and it'll be a particular, uh, a successful.
How did that confidence then shape how you were able to conclude your memoir then, like, to this first book? How did that confidence help you there?
I think the main thing was it took a lot of confidence because when I left New York City in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
I left with the intention of finishing my book because I was very comfortable in the United States. I had a nice
Mm-hmm.
had money coming in, and I was just like, I don't want to finish my travel memoir in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So I believed in myself 100%. And then that the week, I'm going to share something with you. The week, you talk about omens, the week that I was leaving, the person who brought me to Beijing, I hadn't seen this person in over a decade. I randomly saw him on a train. One of the Black explorers that I mentioned in my most recent article to you, I had written to him several times. Marvin Harrison, the
Mm-hmm.
Black explorer, the travel trekker. I
Yeah.
had written to him for months. He wouldn't write to me. I randomly see him on a train the week that I'm leaving.
Oh,
So
wow.
right, so you talk about omens, and they kept happening, and so even right now they still happen to this day. So yeah, man, just being able to keep seeing a lot of those omens, but also confident in the standpoint of you know there's something that I'm doing, and there's a reason that I'm on a spiritual path, so I have to do it.
Yeah. Do you feel like your the omens that are currently in your life right now are telling you to continue your journey here in Guatemala, or are you
Yes, yeah.
thinking, okay?
Yes. Yeah, Guatemala is because you asked me a question about which place has played a significant role in your life, and I would have never thought that Guatemala would have played the importance that it has. But
Mm-hmm.
my there's some very important things that I'm doing here right now. And
Mm-hmm.
Guatemalan people, like we talked about their history. Their history
Yeah.
again is just as impressive as Mexico's in terms of their Mayan
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
They actually have one of the largest pyramids in the world is here, El Mirador.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot more there's a lot more things that are going to be discovered in terms of their culture and their history. And so El Mirador is just like a fraction of that right now. But they have several pyramids all over this region. And Guatemala has its own rich history. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
glad that I'm able to they've it's worked out well for me here. It's not perfect. This place tests me, especially for a Black traveler.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this this country will test your metal, but Guatemalan people overall are they're very good. There are things that I like about their culture a lot. So yeah.
um how about their food? That's something I have to ask about every time, because
No,
that's
Guatemalan
one thing.
their food is
Mhm.
is bomb ass, man. It's
Yeah.
slamming. Their food that they eat they serve here, it kicks ass.
Hmm.
It's good. It's great. The food is great here.
Can you taste the Mayan influence?
To be perfectly honest with you, man, I really don't like a lot of the Mayan influence. More, I guess I can to some degree.
Hmm.
When I was in Merida, Mexico, there was uh, more Mayan food. They have it here, but they have more traditional food in Guatemala.
Hmm.
Chicken and beans and so forth. But a lot of the Mayan food, it's okay. But I'm
Hmm.
so yeah.
you're partial. You're partial
I'm partial
to.
more traditional. When I go out, like they make beans and rice and chicken and stuff like that. So I like the way they season it. So yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, for me, beans and rice and chicken. That sounds like home.
Well, of course, Filipinos. I mean, that's of
Yeah,
course, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. I mean, we eat rice every day. Although now, as an adult, no longer in a Filipino household, I don't eat rice every day anymore. But
Right.
that was definitely breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Was well, I mean, I don't know if I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but you get it.
Oh, sure,
Um,
absolutely.
um, what is the most important piece on Medium that you've written that you feel like is still important to you? Is it one that we've brought up here already, or is there something we haven't mentioned yet? Because I want you to tap into that and try to
Oh yeah,
figure out. Yeah.
definitely the most important piece that I wrote on Medium was Black Folks, a history of ruining travel secrets. And
Um,
you published that, and
yeah.
we both know that that should have been nominated, but I'm not gonna go
Yeah.
in here. I'm not gonna
No,
go into that. I'm
we
not
don't
gonna
need
go
to
into
go into
that.
that because that makes me mad every time they reject stuff.
But thank you for even considering it again,
Yeah.
and thank you for allowing me to have a voice. But I talk about the beach when I started that, and then I talked about how there's a lot of elements of Black American culture that don't really coincide, like in terms of like the flashy part, in terms of like showing off and stuff, the clout chasing and stuff, that doesn't really coincide with maintaining travel secrets, the beach.
Hmm.
And so I think that that's one of my important articles because I hate to say it, but Black Americans, we have a history, in my opinion, and I'm in this of getting to places late.
Hmm.
What we like to do, and my buddy pointed this out. We were talking about Bali, and he said, "Look, man, Clark, Bali only became hot because you had all these white people going there. They went there. So what happens, unfortunately, and there's cultural reasons behind it, but a lot of times, I think that one thing I have to say, like even if you look at the beach, the movie, those people they kind of had created their own community,
Hmm.
and to do
Like a
that,
utopia almost.
yeah, but that's not easy.
Mm-mm.
And what I'm trying to say is, I have to say it, but one thing I have noticed about a lot of Caucasian people, and not just all Caucasian travelers, but there are many who will go to a location and they don't mind toughing it out for several years. They don't mind getting dirty and and experience. They'll endure a decade or 5 years of bad travel because they know on the other end they're gonna have a nice place. Sometimes I don't know if Black travelers, unless they're military,
Hmm.
a lot of Black travelers, it seems like we want to go places when things are already, I don't know if we always want to we don't do the legwork because there's no place that I can say that we have necessarily developed. The one place is East Africa. A lot of
Hmm.
black travelers have been going there since the 90s and since the 60s and civil rights era. They've been going to Tanzania and they've moved there. But when I when I'm judging Black travelers, it's in humor. It's not it's totally made in jest, but there are some cultural elements that I think like things don't really work. So back to that the point, I feel that article is important. Really because I highlighted several instances where we have kind of like compromised travel locations.
Mm. Yeah. No, I remember reading that and thinking, wow, I didn't even know about all this. Like, I mean, obviously this wouldn't be something at the forefront of my own mind because it's not part of my lived experience, but
Right.
just being able to read that and get that insight from somebody who understands that, that was quite moving.
Well, I mean, I'll just to reference it briefly, like Brazil, there was a part, there was a time where in mass there was a huge movement of Black men going to Brazil for the Brazilian women. And I put this in an article, and I never forget. I was on a message board. This was before I ever went to Brazil. But a
Mm-hmm.
guy said, he said, men have been going to Brazil for years. Black men are the last ones to arrive at the party. And
Oh.
yeah, yeah. So and like you even look at Thailand right now. There's a huge
Mm-hmm.
wave of black people in Thailand right now. They're there because of the YouTube passport bros. And the Thailand boat has kind of been missed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can say it's a good night, it's a good place to visit, but the time to settle and like stake your claim in Thailand was late 90s, early 2000s at the latest.
Okay. So you talk about, like, as a traveler, you have to do a lot of legwork. You have to pay attention to a lot of stuff. What is the first thing you really think that travelers should focus on when they're planning to go somewhere? So, like, do you think it's the language? Do you think it's the cultural norms? Do you think it's like what the culture? What should they be focusing on? Or is it just a blend of all of that?
Well, when you go somewhere, make sure that the place aligns with your goals, your personal legend, your goals. You
Mm-hmm.
know, again, because when you start encountering problems, you might have incentive to just leave.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that, so language is a good start because if you get a good language teacher, they're also going to teach you culture as well.
Okay.
And so by them doing that, and you kind of want a language teacher that shoots from the hip. He says, you know, tell you don't talk to these people. Here's why X, Y, and Z happens. You kind of want that because, like, from my Swahili teacher, we talked about East Africa. There were days, man, where we would start class and we would just talk about culture the entire lesson and not really talk about language.
And that's equally as important, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
so that's
Mm-hmm.
very important because you want to get a lay of the land. You
Mm-hmm.
want to, it's important to get that understanding of the culture. And it's you, you definitely, and also sometimes you want to get it from people who are natives, but also people from other foreigners because they'll help
Mm-hmm.
you to understand things a little bit better.
Nice. That that's something that's definitely a good thing to keep in mind for those of us who want to go to certain places, especially. Now I'm trying to find. Sorry, we can edit this part out too, but I'm trying to find the next question that tied into what I was trying to say here. Um.
Okay.
Oh, that's the question. That's the question I wanted to ask you. I found it. I wrote so many questions, and I was like,
Sorry.
I'm gonna either ask all these questions, ask some of them, or whatever. You come into something thinking this is what I'm going
That's
to
all
ask
right.
you, but then when you go through the interview, you realize, oh, well, that doesn't really fit what I was going to
No, it's all
say
right.
or what
No, it's
he's saying, whatever. Um, so for you, and this is something that you're very good at. You shoot straight from the hip, which is something I really really like. And you're yourself. You're authentic. You have this voice that resonates that people can easily and automatically identify when they see it. They're like, even if I blurred your name out, like if I just saw the Medium article, I blurred your name out, and I saw the title and started reading it, I'd know it was you. Like
right.
you have that voice. Like you're
Yep.
very distinct, and that's something that's very important. But so you've been to all these places, and you have a way because you've experienced the good and the bad in each of these places. So it's easy for you to do this, but how do you really capture like the emotional truth of a place without like idealizing it? And I know that a lot of that when we talk about that, a lot of that comes from your inspiration from the beach. I can tell because that that was very easy. Like when you watch that movie, you can tell. Like, oh, go ahead. Sorry, I'm putting too much on that question, but go ahead.
No. No, it's a good question. So I guess like don't in relation to the beach, don't compromise the location.
Mm,
There are places that I've been that I don't even mention in my book.
hmm.
Like years ago when I started photography, there was a photographer who mentioned, every once in a while, put your camera down and just save the moment for yourself.
Hmm.
And so, in terms of travel, there are places that I don't really share with people. The
Hmm.
places that I've gone, and I mentioned the country, but there are other places that I'll in a book I may just reference something to like dangle a little bit of mystery, but
Hmm.
I don't give everything away. And it's crazy. Alex Garland, the guy who wrote The Beach, years later, he revealed that the physical beach that he was actually talking about, it wasn't in Thailand. It was in the Philippines. That's how
Oh,
that's how gangster he is. He it was based on like these lagoons or this beach that was in the Philippines. So maybe that's a place that you can go to bring things full circle. But um yeah, the beach that he was actually talking about, he threw everybody off course. It's so genius. He had everybody going to Thailand, and the place that he was really talking about was in the Philippines. So yeah,
I think I
always
I think I know where
yeah.
it is.
Yeah, he mentions it in one of his interviews, and always keep a little bit of stuff for yourself, and you can share it later. But I thought that was something that's kind of genius. So yeah, keeping a little bit of the location, maybe some sacred place that you have, and don't share
Hmm.
it with everyone. Keep it for yourself, and maybe you can share it with because there's favorite places that I have like in Cambodia. There's towns that I passed through in Cambodia that I don't mention in my book that I would love to return to.
I was gonna say probably not the capital though.
No. Cambodia is a very Phnom Penh is a very again the entire countryside is very beautiful, but in terms of the place that challenged me the most was definitely Cambodia.
Hmm.
Cambodia was very difficult, but there are other places outside of the city that I would love to return to.
Hmm. Um, how I'm trying to remember how to say it. Is the way you say the name of the people the Mai people, or how do you say that?
The Khmer.
Oh, it is Khmer.
Yeah, it is Khmer. The Khmer people. Yeah.
Because I've heard it pronounced different ways, and I just wasn't sure how. Because I heard like Khmer. Khmer is one I hear commonly, but I wasn't sure if that's exactly how they say it.
You talking about Cambodian people?
Yeah, yeah,
Khmer. Yeah.
that's
So
what I was saying.
yeah,
I was thinking it was like Khmer or something.
yeah.
So it's either one. Okay,
Yeah.
I was just making sure I was saying it right. I mean, you have so many moments, but like, can you think of one particular moment when you were in Cambodia that still has some space in your head right now?
Sure. I met a guy, absolutely, and I mentioned him in the book, and I think he's dead. He was an American. He was, Caucasian and Mexican, and
Okay.
he had severe drug problems.
Mm.
And I remember, we had smoked some weed one night, and he helped me because it was funny. I met him in time when I first met him. We almost had a fight, and then he wound up helping me get a job at a school, and
Oh
then we got
wow.
cool. Yeah, we got cool, and but I started to realize that this guy had some serious drug problems. So one night I saw him. Well, we parted ways, and he was walking through this cornfield, and it was the last time I ever saw him alive. And then he was headed. This was in Siem Reap. This is in Mongkol Barai,
Mm.
and this was like a remote part of Cambodia. And
Hmm.
so he, he was walking through this cornfield, and he was high. And then he calls me the next day. He's in Phnom Penh, And he's like, yeah, I passed out here. I passed out and I lost my passport.
Oh
And I,
no.
yeah, he was that hard up. Like the weeks that I got to know him, like I would see him, he would pass out from painkillers and shit. So
Oh.
he has some serious stuff going on. And you meet travelers like that out in the world, and they're people like slowly they're dealing with something. And I just remember that last it kind of haunts me that last night, and then him calling me from Phnom Penh. He's like, yeah, he was just like a walking tragedy, man. And
Oh.
I reached out to him via email over the years, and he's never responded. And I can't find him anywhere. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's dead. So
That would be
that
the assumption, yeah.
yeah, and that memory of like seeing like turning around and watching him walk off into the night. But here's the craziest thing, Sturg. He had to be one of the best travelers in terms of there were things that he taught me in interfacing with Cambodian people.
Yeah.
He spoke the language fluently. And
Wow.
yeah, he had his shit together, but ironically, like he got fired from a school because they found him like in the bushes drunk. He passed out in front of the school, and all the parents came to school like one day, and here's this drunk English teacher in the middle of the ground. So
Wow.
they had to, yeah, he was but a good traveler. I
Hmm.
remember I'll just share something he did one night. We were at a bar and there was some kind of holiday coming up. So he had me
Hmm.
follow him, and we walked to all the tables and toasted all of the Cambodian men. And I was, I said to myself, and even to that day, I still take that with me. If I go to a bar, I'll just go around and like, meet some of the guys and salute them. It helps you. You have to make friends with a lot of the men when you travel to avoid any kind of problems.
Hmm.
But I said to myself, here's this guy. He's a really good traveler. But then in the other standpoint, he's dealing with stuff. So not to judge him, but when it comes about those memories from Cambodia, that is probably one of the most haunting memories. And again, me getting chased with machetes uh, is another one. But I just leave that sentence in the book. I really don't talk about what happened. Maybe years later, I'll share that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that'll be that could be just its own book on its own. Like just to write an entire book about just that specific thing and how it related to your mindset now, like how it helped you evolve.
Yeah, it's just, again, you're going to meet people when you travel who are kind of, again, they're dealing with shit. And this goes back to the beach. There was that guy, Daffy Duck.
Yeah,
He was fucking crazy. Well, he
yeah.
became crazy because he was dealing with some shit.
Yeah, he was
And
that crazy guy. Yeah, I remember.
right. And that's kind of like a symbol for the kind of, you meet a lot of worldly travelers, really good travelers, but they'll have some
Hmm.
shit they're dealing with and it can destroy them.
Do you feel like that let's just say in the context of the people you've encountered while traveling, do you feel like that is a large number of the travelers you've met, or is that just a minority of the travelers you've met that have that going on that you've noticed?
That's a good question. There are different types of people, and I definitely would say that you will meet people who are running away from something. It was like
Hmm.
there's somebody is running away from something, and you'll see based on their actions, they'll kind of manifest what they are. They're doing a lot of drugs or a lot of sleeping with a lot of whores and stuff. If that's the only reason you're traveling, then you're dealing with some stuff internally.
Hmm.
But in terms of like the Daffy Duck character, beyond the negative aspects, you will meet these people who have been out in the world. Like I met when I was in Cambodia, out in this remote part of Cambodia. I was in this place called Sisapon, and I met this
Hmm.
Australian guy. He was gay. He had a Thailand a partner. His partner was from Thailand,
Hmm.
and he was probably one of the best, most important people I met in Cambodia. This Australian guy. He had lived in Cambodia like 20 years, and so he understood the Khmer people culturally and helped me to understand things that they were going through as well.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Um, I know we're focusing a lot on Cambodia right now, because I know it was a huge part of your journey, but I'll shift us a little bit here because I know that was also a very like getting whipped in the desert in the Alchemist when you're trying to bury for your gold.
Well,
Um,
getting your ass beat. Like I physically got my ass beat in Cambodia. So yeah.
mhm. What do you want people to understand about you personally that doesn't always come through in your book?
Well, in general, I think that even with the medium crowd, because I had a situation with one of your people.
Yeah. Oh well.
Um,
Yeah.
no, I'll
I
just
don't
talk
want to.
about it.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I
no,
know.
I mean, like, I'm not a person that is, I don't have evil intentions toward people.
No, you're a good person. I can feel that in my
That's what I try
soul.
to, yeah, I want, my attitude is live and let people have respect. That's the main thing. Like sometimes I don't agree with everything. Like
Hmm.
like let's say somebody says they're transgender. I Hey, I don't hate them, and I don't say there's certain viewpoints that I have, but I'm willing to respect anyone and sit down and listen to their argument or their discussion and their feelings.
So
So
basically,
that's
you're
what
just open minded to other people, but it's like even if they're what they are or what they do isn't exactly aligned with what you've lived, you
that's
still
that's
let
basically
them and keep and you want to learn about them. Just keep an open mind about it.
that's where
Yeah.
I'm at, man. I'm more
Yeah.
mature because I've had and I would hope people would be that way with me. Maybe some people encounter some black guys and like, hey, this guy's, I don't, I did, so there's some people out there who don't know any black people, and their reference for Black Americans is what they see on music videos or world star hip hop, and
That's
so
so weird to me though, because like I grew up in a city in the United States in Sacramento, or I mean California, Sacramento, which is one of the most integrated cities in the United States, where I went to school with black people, I went to school with Russians, I went to school with Asians, I went to school with Hispanic people, like all over the world. Like I think at my high school there were 70 something different languages spoken at home as a first language
wow.
or a
Well,
second. I think it was first or second language. And I'm like, to me to hear somebody, and I get it, but I to hear that somebody didn't grow up with black people or didn't grow up with a certain like experiencing certain type of people, it baffles me because that's not
well,
my own lived experience.
I think that's one of the benefits of growing up where you were in Sacramento, that you got exposed to so many people, and same with me growing up in New York City. But
Oh yeah.
that's not everyone's experience.
Hmm.
Like so I think that yeah, I think that I want people to know that I don't have bad intentions toward people with my writing. I try to look at myself first, work on myself. I'm a work in progress. And I'm definitely trying to inspire other people by finishing and completing and living out my personal legend.
You're a very thoughtful person. I just want to mention that right now because I know
Uh,
that even when you were having that that or that disagreement with my buddy, going on, you were still trying to be like very
well,
diplomatic with the way you were approaching him, and I feel
you
like
know,
that was very, you didn't need to do all that. Like you could have just walked away from that right away.
yeah, things happen for a reason.
Hmm.
And I remember this individual, is an unfortunate incident, and things happen. But
Yeah.
again, this is in reference to the people and the thief. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying he's a thief, but that negative experience, utilizing my experience as an alchemist, and
Hmm.
then focusing on the good things, which is you having a great travel editor that lets me focus on that and say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to focus on what I can focus on that's good, and not
Hmm.
focus on this negative aspect, because people are ultimately, they know me, they're going to say, okay, there's something not right. maybe there was a misunderstanding. So that's it. Like, even when I talk about politics and stuff, I'm not, because like I'm not Democrat or Republican. If
Neither am
Donald
I.
Trump,
Yeah,
it's like I'll say, hey, Donald Trump is a motherfucker. I'll say Barack Obama's a motherfucker. I don't give a shit.
I
I'll
believe
say
that
who
too.
either. Yeah, I'll say it. I'll
I
say
was
it.
about, but I'm gonna tell you right now, you and I are on the same wavelength there. Barack
Yeah,
Obama
man.
and Donald Trump are motherfuckers.
They're both
Straight up.
motherfuckers. They're both
Straight up.
motherfuckers. So it's like, which is less motherfucker?
There's not even less, it's just different.
No, man, it's just different. There you go, man. It's just different flavor,
Different
motherfucker.
motherfucker, different flavored. Yep. Black motherfucker, white motherfucker. There we go.
That's it, man. That's all it is. So,
I
yeah,
wanted to
man.
say I wanted to say something a little more spicy, but I refrained from it.
All right.
I
No,
was
I
gonna say
understand.
I was gonna say honky motherfucker. We can edit that
Oh,
out
no, no,
though.
no, 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 no. We don't do that.
Anyway, back to back to now we're both laughing. Okay, ooh, that's I forgot I put that question down. That's something. Man, this is coming back to our personal legend. You don't have to
Yeah.
reveal exactly what your personal legend is because it might be in your book, and I don't want people to get spoiled for that. But what's the question you're still trying to answer?
That's a good point. There's something that I'm trying to do creatively that has been kind of stumbling me for a few years. So when you talk about characters and personal legends, sometimes that's why I asked you who in The Alchemist was I? When my vibration was off, when I was in prison in Hong Kong, I gave the book to an African guy, and he said, Clarke, right now you're the Englishman. And I told him he was right.
I was actually
Because,
thinking that at one point. I was like, you could also be
yeah,
the Englishman.
that's, when you're still trying to figure, like the Alchemist says, the Englishman has work to do. So when you're still trying to figure things out, you could be the Englishman. I've given that book and said, okay, I told people you'll find me in that book. And then other times, like right now, when I'm in a particular situation, I have to figure out things. I have to turn myself into wind. And so when you're turning yourself into wind, you're using alchemy. And so going into things with using your spiritual, your ideas about spirituality, because there's something out there. Because I could tell you, Sturg, I have had too many omens, and I'm not trying to. Listen, I'm not into spaceships and aliens and like demons and angels and stuff. But there's something out there. Again, like I told you, just this week, two of my travel buddies reached out to me. One of them was from Hong Kong, and I haven't spoken to him in maybe about 2 or 3 years. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm going to have an interview about my book.
That's
So
awesome.
there's definitely a connection out there. But yeah.
I'm looking forward to your book. Like honestly, like I'm gonna be one of the first people to buy a copy of your book. Like I'm gonna read your book. Like
Well, I shout you out. I got a shout out page. Like, the hip hop, if you ever look at like hip hop CDs, they always
yeah,
shout out their friends. I shout you out because you helped me get to where I am. You're good, good editor, and I really appreciate you giving me a platform to share myself as a writer because it's the internet is very fragmented right now.
yeah. And I
And
feel like we're uniting it with the diversity of our voices in my space because I
no,
feel
it's
like I try to bring that inclusivity and that the diversity into the space because I'm like we do fall into these like chambers where we hear things that we only want to hear and we don't want to challenge our own beliefs.
yeah,
And
no,
I'm not saying that's all of us. I mean
no, it
that's
happens. It
it's
happens.
a large number of people, but like for me and you, like we're like we were mentioning earlier, we're pretty independent thinkers. We like to consider ourselves free thinkers, people who are able to adapt, people who are open minded and want to learn about the world, and we don't necessarily take the main narrative at face value. And
That's it.
yeah, and we're still people that are looking I feel like we're still though seeking out our personal legend at this point. I know that we're living out our our one of our one of the things that can get us there with our writing. And I think that's something that we share is that our writing is going to make a difference somewhere. And I feel like with your writing, especially with this book that you're about to release, it's or whenever that happens,
No,
do you have a time frame in mind right now?
yeah, I want to get this published. I'm ready to hit publish. I think late March because it's I've been
Oh,
putting it
that's
off almost.
fast. I'm,
No, it's
I
already
think,
done. The book,
no,
the book is already.
I know you told me that. I'm excited.
So
I'm super excited.
no, I already have an ISBN number for it, and yeah, man. So
I'm gonna buy it. Like I'm like right when it's available to buy, I'm buying it. Like you
I
got to
appreciate
just
it.
send
Yeah,
me the link. I'm
no,
buying it.
absolutely. Well, yeah, and I'll definitely make sure I send you one of the first physical copies. But yeah, this
And
has
I'll buy
been
it. And I'll buy it. And I'll give you my
well,
address so you can send it to me. Yeah.
no, absolutely, and it. I just lost my train of thought, but
I'm sorry.
no, you
I'm
have to
a-
be sorry. I think there was something I wanted to add on, but never mind. Sorry.
yeah. Because I feel like excuse me. Hold on. Because you're writing, and this is
Mhm.
what I've noticed about it, and I think you already know this about it, transcends travel. Like travel is part of it, and travel is a huge part of your narrative, but it's
Mhm.
not the whole thing. And you know that already. Identity, philosophy,
Yeah.
like self-discovery,
Right.
adversity, all these things factor into the themes that are present throughout everything you write. And in Medium, a lot of the things that you write, even when they're specifically tailored to, let's say, specifically like black travelers or black writers, whatever,
Mhm.
your focus is still on self-discovery, philosophy, and just like kind of cutting through and bringing an authentically black voice, just your voice into the ether, and basically giving people an opportunity to authentically experience that. And I think that's very important. That is that is of utmost importance in terms of of um of gaining a genuine following. So at this point, do you feel like the reach that you've been able to manage through your writing to this point is sustainable because of this? Do you feel like that because you are
It's
more confident now and because you understand where your voice is? Do you feel that's something that you can sustain throughout a large part of the next part of your journey?
oh, absolutely. Knowing that I can write,
Oh, I knew
it
that from
definitely
the
gives
beginning.
knowing that I
Yeah.
can write, it helps. Anytime you elicit emotion
Mhm.
from your writing,
Yeah.
there was a time period where even in Cambodia, I had
Yeah.
gotten into a bar fight. I got jumped. Oh yeah, it's in the book, and I had some beef with some of the expats in Siem Reap, and they read my piece. They read one of my articles. I think it was republished on your page, the Cambodia piece,
Hmm.
and they were writing comments about the article. But the one thing that they were kept on saying was, "This is a good article." Well, we hate Clarke, but it was like they appreciated the writing. They said it's written well, but they at the time I wasn't the most favorite guy within the town, so it it definitely, I think, being able to communicate and elicit emotion, like, because like when I share things now, I have some people who follow me on like Reddit, and they appreciate my voice, and
Hmm.
I think one of the things that being inspired as a writer who grew up on hip hop, or rap music was that, not everything, rappers pretty much just say whatever they want. And it's
Hmm.
one of the few forms of expression where I feel like black men in America can say what they want. Sometimes it's maybe like, hey, she got a stank pussy, and sometimes
I
it's, hey,
mean, but
mama,
if
I
she
love.
do, she do.
If you do, I'm just saying, yes, like, hey, Tupac's the guy. He's like, hey, mama, I love you. This is why I love you. And then Tupac's the guy's like, yeah, I had sex with 5 whores last night. It's but what I'm trying to say is like, so that kind of authenticity,
Mhm.
I think taking that inspiration, and then some of my favorite writers, like James Baldwin, Ta-Nehisi Coates,
I was about to ask
um,
about this too.
yeah, like Richard Wright wrote a book called Native Son,
Yeah, I know. I know that one.
and it became a movie. But I believe, he was with James Baldwin. He was either with James Baldwin or Gordon Parks, and they were in
Hmm.
Europe. And he was talking about his book and the
Hmm.
advice he had given to, I think it was James Baldwin. He said, "Listen, when your work goes forth, it needs to have the impact of like a bomb. It needs to have impact." And so I do keep that in mind. Like sometimes I wanna shock people. I want people to smile and laugh when they read my work. And so it's not predictable. And at the
Hmm.
same time, it keeps my voice. It's just that sometimes I feel like, and I'll just say this, look, I appreciate the platform of Medium because they have nominated several of my articles, but sometimes I just feel like they don't they do stifle me a little bit. Um, Maybe just for personal reasons because I'm not in the in crowd, but at the same time, it does hurt a little bit to see, because I see some of the stuff that's being nominated. I'm like, what are we doing here? But all you can do is just keep going. I think that's the you mentioned perseverance,
Hmm.
and sometimes that's all you can do, man. Just keep persevering. And then sometimes as a writer, this, like, persevering, some people may not mess with your writing, and then you'll have one piece that goes viral, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, hey, look at all these other great articles. So it happens that way, and it's
And
happened that.
I think honestly, because of how authentic your voice is and how much your messaging can resonate with people, I feel like that there's going to be a turning point where they'll see that, and then all of a sudden, all these articles that we wrote off as, you know, people aren't coming to these. Maybe months, even a year later, people will come to them in droves because they'll
Oh, absolutely.
realize like how powerful and how what the actual message is here that they need to take away, and they'll realize the impact.
Well, the fact that you appreciate my writing and you're a good writer yourself, I think that you you said something when I we first started talking about doing this project, and I told you about my book or the interview, and I'm not going to tell you what you said, but you already knew what I wanted to do with the book.
Hmm.
You already knew, and I was like, he's very sharp. He's already thinking ahead. And so we don't need to discuss it now, but we could
No,
discuss it after. But
sure.
you already knew what my idea was for the book and why, and other things that I had in mind. So I knew our stars were aligned.
Yeah, I feel that too. Like I always feel that, like, especially when I just when your words are in front of my page, and even if we're not talking, like, because we chat frequently, but even when we're not talking, your words are just in front of me. I just know I know where you're going with it, and I know exactly what the vibe is there. So I think I just instinctively have those insights into it.
Mhm. Yeah. No, no,
Yeah.
you're a very good editor and very patient. And so again, being able to find a good publication for my voice is a blessing in itself.
Hmm.
So I'm always thankful for
And I'm thankful for you. So I just want you to know that as well.
that.
So we're getting till near the end of it, and I think we've discussed a lot today. So I kind of want to ask some of these questions that kind of give us
Yeah.
a little bit of a neat wrap up here. So,
Yeah, sure.
what do you think is going to be next for you after this book? Like creatively, personally, spiritually, like where do you think you're going to be going in the next
Oh yeah.
chapter?
No, I've got something very important that I've been doing. I talk about it in my book. This is actually the larger part of my personal legend, is something that has been I've got my documentary. I've got a documentary that I'm finishing. I've
Oh,
got yeah, I've been working on it for several years. I've got my fiction comic book that is being done right now. So I've been working that for several years. So I have a lot of irons in the fire right now. This is a very important year for me, actually.
I feel like this is going to be the year too.
Yeah, I think so too. There was some signals there, but yeah, I think this is a breakout year for me.
And there's another thing too. So even if you don't pursue it heavily with Medium this year, Medium changed kind of its approach in the new year. If you had a chance to look at the article that was written around the turn of the year, because a couple of my stories that I would never have expected, even though they weren't boosted, that got a lot of attention, have been like monumentally viral for me this year. And
Oh wow, good.
I was so surprised at how much attention they're giving stories that they weren't necessarily giving credence to before. Stuff that they were kind of like pushing aside, like stuff that like the impactful stuff you had been writing in the past, like stuff like that. They kind of dismissed it, but then now with the way they're doing it now, they're like, if we can see that a story is impactful, even if it's not what we considered boost worthy necessarily, it's something we'll push out, and if you're monetizing it, we'll definitely give you an incentive there. So I think what's going to happen is people that feel like they'd been cast out before, and I don't get boosted very often, which is kind of a tragedy to me, because like I know that you and I both, like, we know that we have this potential and that we write
Right.
very well, and it's upsetting to not see that come out all the time, like to like what am I trying to say, like quantitatively, like to see the
Well,
numbers, to see the people coming to
for
our
sure.
work. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think when you look at writing on Medium has taught me some things about the internet in general right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you're an editor, but there are larger editors at Medium,
Mm-hmm.
and none of these people are my buddies. And
uh
so,
them are a kind of, they seem, a lot of them seem inaccessible, but go ahead.
no, I'm just mentioning this in terms
Yeah.
of versus the guy who caused me problems.
Mm-hmm.
He is friends with them, and they boost his stuff all the time. So
Yeah.
there's a likability factor there, but at the same time, it also helps me understand how be mindful of how algorithms work. Because when I started looking at how Medium's algorithm was working, I noticed how YouTube's algorithm was working.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube has people at the top who select what goes viral. It's
Yeah.
not an organic
it,
platform. So
yeah, that's how I've felt about it for years. Like both YouTube and Medium seems like it's more of a curated algorithm as
abs-
opposed to a
absolutely
authentic algorithm, like something that people would actually want to seek out.
right. And so, I can't now one of the benefits also, I think that's the main thing. It's just like trying to circumvent, and you can't really circumvent these algorithms, whether it's on X, whether it's on Medium, whether it's on YouTube. So I said like
You had
the
mentioned X
internet.
to me, so
Yeah,
yeah.
X is interesting, but like even they had a writing contest,
Mm-hmm.
and it that platform is still very janky. So there's a lot that has to be improved upon there.
Mm-hmm.
But Medium, I think if Medium still wants to be the best writing platform on the internet, they can.
Mm-hmm.
They can, as long as they they're open to other voices, and maybe they're kind of neutral on different stances, they'll attract the kind of writers that they need, and
Mhm.
it can still be the best writing platform on the internet if they want to.
Yeah, and I think part of what you're alluding to there is kind of taking on Substack's kind of approach to who they have brought onto their platform and have magnified and allowed to have space there. Because Substack
Yeah.
has a large diversity of voices there, even if it's not
Yes.
voices I agree with necessarily.
No, they've got like
Um,
right wing Nazis there, and I say, hey, let them stay there. If people want to read their stuff, let them stay there.
yeah, but the thing is, I would never touch it. Obviously,
No.
yeah.
I'm not either.
No,
But if
you're
they want to, if
obviously
they,
I know that.
I'm just giving the extreme. It's like, hey, if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to, if you're a KKK guy, you have a white power supremacy thing, and that's what you want to write and use your Substack to communicate with your audience. Okay, they can subscribe to you. What's
Well,
the
for people
problem?
who are going to watch this later, I just want to mention this. So neither Clark nor I are promoting or lifting up these Nazi voices. So I just want to make that clear. We're
No,
just
yeah.
using it as an
For
example.
for for clarity, my grandfather fought in World War II.
Yeah,
He was
on the right side, on the correct
Yes,
side.
he was. Yes, he was a part of the Pat General Patton's Panthers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah.
Wait,
So
oh, General Patton's Panthers. I heard
yeah.
about that. Yeah, no,
Patton's Panthers. If you like
yeah,
Google
no, I know,
Patton's
I know
Panthers,
that.
a book. Yeah,
I know that history. That's
yeah.
really
They
cool to
fought
know.
Battle of the Bulge,
Yeah,
and
that's really
yeah.
cool to
So
know. That's awesome. I didn't know that actually. That's the first time I've heard of this. Okay. I mean not of the
yeah.
battle, but that your grandfather had fought there.
Well, I just
Um,
mentioned it in the context because when we had the situation with your so-called friend, he spun it and he made me out to be some kind of Nazi supporter, and I definitely not.
no,
I'm not.
no way. I never got that from you.
So that was
Um,
the whole gist of it.
yeah, no, I get it. Um, what was the question I had? Oh, this is the one. So is there one story that you've read this month specifically? Because I want to tie Black History Month into this one more time. That has made you more proud than ever to be black, basically. Like, is there something you read on the internet this month that you're like that gave you pause and you're like, I'm proud to be black?
I think that I don't want to pitch my article too much, but I'll say, 11 black travelers that your mom
Oh,
that your
that
mama
one.
should, and
Yeah.
ultimately the overall when I was compiling it, I was looking at a lot of these people's stories, and I was just like, there's some very amazing stories there. And the thing is, having a vision or having a personal legend, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes you may have that personal legend, like in the 1950s. Or you imagine being a Black American and you say, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Mexico, become a bullfighter." That somebody would tell you are insane, but somebody did it. Somebody became 75 years old and went to the North Pole.
Mhm.
It's like so. I think that those stories of thinking differently and just being creative
Mhm.
inspired me. Those because especially going and doing things when other so-called black people haven't been there and haven't done it before. That's the thing that inspires me.
The pioneers.
Yes, absolutely. Pioneers who pursued their personal legend.
I think, yeah. I was gonna say, not only did they pursue their personal legend, but then they inspired others who were chasing their own personal legends, like you,
Yeah.
to
But
to chronicle them and to highlight them in that feature, which was that full
absolutely.
circle, basically.
Yeah,
That's
it's like,
amazing.
they became alchemists, and they've inspired other people who are crossing the desert.
I have to come back to this now because now I'm almost second guessing my assumption about things after we've been talking for a while, because now I'm wondering, because you said I jumped into it automatically thinking you're that you identify as Santiago, but now I'm almost wondering if that sometimes you feel like you're the Englishman. Like
Well,
you still feel
it's
that way.
we're all different characters in that book. Sometimes I might be the thief. It's like, hey, if if you ask some of my girlfriends who don't like me, like, say he's the thief, or it's we're all those characters in that book. Sometimes if when you out an alchemist is mastery. That's when you're having things figured out and that you've reached that level of mastery. So I'm definitely Santiago turning myself into wind. When I have a situation where, trying to find creative ways to get my writing read, turning myself into wind. So it's always about being different characters. Sometimes you are the Englishman, you or I, but
How about, are you ever the alchemist? The
absolutely,
established alchemist? Yeah.
absolutely. That's whenever you're able to try to give wisdom to people, and that's what I'm trying to do in my book. You are definitely full circle and coming back and helping the next traveler. And so
That's when you're the
eh,
alchemist.
that's when you're alchemist, but at the same time, I'm doing it and I put a motherfucker in it. When I say motherfucker, I'm saying it's like I make things very plain and I
Mm-hmm.
talk about things in a way that I try to be very matter of fact. And sometimes, like in this day and age, I feel like unless it's in away from rap music, a lot of black men who write are not allowed to make things plain.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's a powerful thought. I mean, that's a powerful like takeaway. I think we have time for one more question, and I kind of want to um
Yeah.
and then I kind of like want to wrap this into a neat bow or something. I don't know. um uh what's the one question you want people to have after reading your book? Like not necessarily the one takeaway, but the one question you want them to have about themselves.
I think probably the one question I want them to probably have about themselves is to start questioning what their purpose is, their personal legend. And, even if they have put it off for years, are they going after it? And if they're not, then can they do it? Even just a little bit of it, go after your personal legend, your goal in life, your purpose. And if you don't know what it is, start figuring it out.
You, this was an amazing interview, Clarke. This was way better. I mean, not way better than I would have expected, but like this is definitely exceeded my expectations in terms of what I thought I would be able to come here with you today. But I
Well,
really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your voice. I appreciate everything about you, man. You're such a genuine guy. You're so awesome, and like I don't know. I have yeah, I know you're pointing at me, but I have so many like compliments I can give you right now, but I just want to tell you that I want to thank you for this, because this was a really unique and dynamic and wonderful opportunity for both of us. I believe. I feel like this was a good omen for both of us at this point,
yeah.
and going forward into our next chapter of our journeys. I feel like this is a crossroads. This is a major point.
Well, absolutely. And I remember, you mentioned that you just read The Alchemist, and I'm hoping that it encourages you. And
It
I think that,
has.
and when I want to mention, in the forward of that book, or one of the later releases, if you read the forward, Paul Coelho says that the book is alive, and he says
Mm-hmm.
that he's constantly returning to it. So
He's read it at least 100 times already after.
yeah, he reads his own book. So it's like the things that we create are alive, and that's his writing, his ability to create is his treasure.
Mhm.
So, you know, having that ability, don't underestimate the ability that you can create, that you can write, and look at all the progress that you've made as well. So, I mean, you're an editor, you have publications on Medium and stuff. So look at the journey that you've made creatively, and be very thankful, and be thankful for the journey that we're on.
That
It's a
definitely.
beautiful struggle.
Yeah. That I always laugh when I hear the word struggle because it's pretty much an inversion of my actual name, Sturgill, you know.
A struggle, yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, so I always say you have a great editor name, Sturg. That's like a
Yeah, it's very strong. Yeah.
it is, yeah. So yeah, man. But thank you again for the opportunity. Again, also thank you for giving me a voice on Medium and allowing putting up with any kind of nonsense there. I, but again, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the platform that I've been given so that I can communicate with people.
Yeah, and just to have an audio clip at the end. Check out Clarke Illmatical on Medium. I'm sure you have other platforms you write on too, but also you're on. So, what are your socials? Go ahead and throw your socials out there really quick.
Well, right on Medium, you can read a lot of my work on Digital Global Traveler. That is
Mhm.
Sturk's publication. It's my favorite travel publication on Medium, and they can catch me on X at Illmatical, Clarke Illmatical. They can find me there.
All right, cool. Yeah. Um, I'm excited to have the after interview conversation with you in our chat. But this was wonderful. Thank you again for your time and your wonderful energy. And I'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right, thank you so much, Sturk. Peace.
Thank